You think you're making choices all day, but most of what you call decisions are already decided by patterns you didn't choose, by emotions that arrive before your reasons, by instincts trained into you long before you can remember. The truth is uncomfortable. Your conscious mind doesn't run your life. It explains it after the subconscious has already moved. And once you see that, you start noticing it everywhere. There's a quiet delay in being human. Something happens, you reach for your phone, you snap at someone you love, you avoid a task you promised yourself you'd do, and only afterward, your mind produces a story. I was just checking something. I was tired. It wasn't the right time. The story feels real because it's yours. But it's often not the cause. It's the cover. This is the first illusion the subconscious creates. The feeling of authorship. Not because your brain wants to deceive you, but because a mind that feels powerless can't survive. So it hands you a comforting role. The narrator, the one who explains the plot, the one who believes they chose the scene. But beneath the narration, the true engine runs quietly, fast, automatic, efficient, a system designed to protect your time, energy, and social safety. Your subconscious doesn't ask, what is the best choice? It asks, what is the safest pattern? And here's the hook. Once you understand how it builds patterns, you'll understand why change feels so hard, even when you want it. The brain isn't built to think all day. Thinking is expensive. It burns energy. It slows you down. So the brain does something smarter. It predicts. Most of the time, it doesn't analyze your world like a scientist. It guesses what's happening based on what usually happens. It uses memory like a shortcut. It uses habit like a map. It uses emotion like a warning system. This is why you can drive somewhere and barely remember the road. Why you can shower and suddenly wake up at the end. Why you can sit down to work and find yourself scrolling without deciding to. The subconscious is not lazy. It's efficient. It's constantly building a model of reality and then guiding you through it on autopilot. Even your identity gets filtered through prediction. Your mind learns. This is who I am. This is what people like me do. This is what happens when I try. And the moment that identity gets threatened by failure, embarrassment, rejection, your subconscious moves to protect you, not with logic, with avoidance, not with plans, with cravings, not with goals, with familiar patterns. And the deeper twist is this. Sometimes it will keep you trapped in a pattern that hurts you because it's more predictable than the unknown. If you want to see the subconscious at work, don't look for mystery. Look for repetition, morning routines, phone checks, the way you speak to certain people, the way you react to silence, the way your body tenses before you even know you're nervous. Habits aren't just behaviors, they're stored decisions. The subconscious loves habits because habits reduce uncertainty. A habit is a promise. If I do this, I know what happens next. and that promise feels safe. So the brain builds loops. Cue, routine, reward. A feeling triggers a behavior, and the behavior produces relief, distraction, comfort, or control. That reward doesn't have to be pleasure. Sometimes the reward is simply less discomfort. That's why procrastination works. It's not laziness, it's emotional relief. That's why doom scrolling works. It's not entertainment, it's anesthesia. That's why people stay in familiar pain. It's not stupidity, it's predictability. Your subconscious is always trying to keep your emotional temperature stable. And here's where most people get it wrong. They try to break habits with motivation, but motivation is conscious, and habits are subconscious. So you end up in a fight between a whisper and a machine. If you want to change your life, you don't try harder. You redesign the loop, because the subconscious doesn't respond to speeches. It responds to environments. And what's running your environment? Not just your room, your relationships, your phone, your schedule, your stress, which leads to the next layer beneath habit, emotion. Because emotion is one of the subconscious mind's most powerful tools. Most people believe emotions are reactions, but emotions are often instructions. Your subconscious doesn't wait for you to think through danger. It signals first. Fear says, avoid. Shame says, hide. Anger says, defend. Loneliness says, seek connection. Envy says, compare. Anxiety says, prepare, prepare, prepare. By the time your conscious mind arrives, your body has already voted. Heart rate shifts, breathing changes, muscles tighten, attention narrows. And then your conscious mind does what it always does. It rationalizes the vote. This is why you can know something is safe and still feel afraid. Because knowledge lives in the conscious mind, but safety lives in the subconscious. The subconscious doesn't speak in sentences, it speaks in sensations. It is older than language, older than logic, older than the part of you that says, I understand. And once emotions take the wheel, your choices change shape. You choose comfort over growth. You choose approval over truth. You choose distraction over stillness. Not because you're weak, but because the subconscious has one mission: keep you socially and physically intact, which is why it cares so much about other people. Your subconscious was designed in a world where being rejected wasn't just painful. It was dangerous. For most of human history, belonging was survival. So your brain developed a hidden skill: constant social scanning. It tracks tone shifts, facial micro-reactions, whether you're included, whether you're dismissed, whether you're safe in the group, and it does this automatically. That is why embarrassment burns. That is why criticism feels bigger than it should. That is why you replay conversations in your head at night. It's not overthinking for no reason. It's the subconscious rehearsing survival. Did I ruin my position? Did I lose approval? Am I at risk? This is also why so many people shape their personalities around acceptance. Not because they're fake, because their subconscious learned being yourself can be expensive. So it designs a version of you that fits. And the more you live as that version, the more your subconscious believes that version is the real one. Until one day, you feel a quiet disconnection, like you're playing a role you didn't audition for. And then you wonder why you feel tired all the time. Because you're not only managing life, you're managing perception, which brings us to the most underestimated force of all, attention. Because whatever controls your attention controls your life. Your attention is not neutral. It's a resource, and the subconscious protects it by directing it toward whatever feels urgent, whatever feels uncertain, whatever feels emotionally charged. That's why your mind jumps to threats. That's why you notice criticism more than praise. That's why you can't stop thinking about what you shouldn't have said. The subconscious is biased toward relevance, not truth. And in the modern world, everything is designed to feel relevant. Notifications, feeds, outrage, comparison, endless novelty. Each one hijacks the ancient rule. Pay attention to what might affect your place in the world. So the subconscious keeps scanning, scrolling, checking, preparing. Not because you're addicted to content, but because your brain is addicted to certainty. And certainty is rare now. Here's the turning point. When you lose control of attention, you lose control of identity. Because identity is built from what you repeatedly notice. So if your attention is constantly pulled outward, you begin living outward. Approval becomes oxygen. Distraction becomes rest. Noise becomes normal. And you don't even realize the shift happened. Which leads to the final question. If the subconscious runs so much, what can the conscious mind actually do? The solution isn't to defeat the subconscious. That's like trying to defeat gravity. The goal is to train it, because while the subconscious runs your life, it also learns from your life. It learns through repetition, through consequence, through emotional association. So the conscious mind's real power is not control in the moment. It's design over time. It chooses the conditions that shape future automatic behavior. Here's what that looks like. 1. Make the invisible visible. Name the loop. Not, I'm lazy, but I avoid this when I feel uncertain. Not, I'm weak, but I reach for comfort when I feel exposed. When you name the pattern, you stop being owned by it. 2. Change the environment, not the personality. If your phone is beside you, the subconscious will reach. If the snack is visible, the subconscious will grab. If the habit is easy, the subconscious will repeat. The subconscious follows the path of least resistance. So make the right path easier. 3. Give the subconscious a better reward. Don't remove comfort. Replace it. Your brain doesn't stop seeking relief. It just chooses different sources. 4. Rehearse the identity you want before you need it. The subconscious trusts familiarity. So practice the new behavior in low stakes until it becomes what your mind expects from you. This is why change feels slow. You're not changing an opinion, you're updating a prediction. And predictions don't change through information. They change through lived evidence, which is why the most powerful moment isn't when you understand this. It's when you catch yourself mid-loop and choose differently, even once. Because once the subconscious sees a new option is possible, it starts building a new script. You are not broken because you fall into patterns. You are human. Your subconscious runs your life because it was built to keep you alive, to conserve energy, to avoid rejection, to protect you from uncertainty. But that same system can also trap you in old fears, old habits, old identities. The conscious mind isn't the engine, it's the architect. It can't control every moment, but it can shape the moments that shape you. And that is how you slowly become free. This is Originify, where we undiscover the hidden forces shaping everyday life and uncover the quiet truths behind what it means to be human.